Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema every week, sees films, rates them out of 5, stays at home, watches either TV shows or films at home, rates them out of 5, puts them all against each other and sees where money has been better spent this week. My name is Tosin and I am the host for this week only, coming to you from Essex. And joining me on the Isle of Wight, as always, is Sharon Bollen.
Hello.
And joining me on the Isle of Wight, after a brief trip to Bournemouth to actually see some more films, it's Sean Harris.
Yeah.
And from London, it's our London correspondent, that is Holly Nestling.
Hi.
From London, proper London, not Essex, pretending to be London.
Well, West London, so
yeah.
Suburbs still.
Well, you're still in. You're far away. You're far enough into London from the airports to actually properly be London. You're not because Heathrow is arguably not London. So.
No, I do have a Middlesex postcode.
Ooh.
No, I know.
But you're within yelling distance of the Brentford football stadium.
Literally, yes.
So
That's London. That's London.
That's sure goes. Yep, London, Brentford.
There's been enough on Brentford.
That's what we think round here.
All right, cool. So this week, obviously, it's been Easter week and everything. We have gone and we have seen some films. We have watched stuff at home. So let's kick off and talking about what it is that we have seen in the cinema. So what have we seen in the cinema? Let's start with Sharon. Nothing in the cinema. Yay, no. Great stuff. What have we seen in the cinema? Let us go with Holly.
Nothing
in the cinema. Okay.
I've been ill. That's my excuse.
All right, cool. And so, Sean, you?
I've seen three things. Three things.
Yep. Okay, go ahead. What are they?
Okay, so I saw Monkey Man on a preview, but we're going to save that to next week because hopefully someone else will catch that. Yep. I watched A Late Night with the Devil, which was Tosin's recommendation, and I am really pleased that he put me on to that.
Yep, good to hear. I recommended that right at the end of last week's show.
The big monstery Godzilla Kong universe, So.
Godzilla X Kong: A New Empire.
New Empire, that's it.
Godzilla X Kong, give it his full title. Oh yeah, I also saw Godzilla X Kong: A New Empire, and because I have been in Romford, as I said, I've been in Romford near my beloved Premier Cinema in Romford. I sent you guys all a picture of the wonderful. I even put it up on our Twitter thing. The wonderful welcoming sign, the most welcoming sign I have ever seen in any cinema whatsoever. That says all films £3.50.
How cool is that?
Yeah, so I was actually in the cinema. I pretty much spent the day today in the cinema because I haven't had, even though it's been that I was told a lie. I was told, oh, come, let's go on a holiday. It'll be great. We'll go to the family house. There'll be other people that help look after the kids. You can go to the cinema. I was like, yeah. No, did not happen. I spent most of the week doing. Less than usual, but still doing fatherly stuff. So this was the first day I actually got to go to the cinema. But I went to see Godzilla X Kong. And right after I saw Kung Fu Panda 4, because somebody has to see those animated films and it's not going to be Sharon.
Nope, not going to be me.
It's not gonna be... Yeah, so I saw Kung Fu Panda. Okay, how about at home? What have we seen at home? Let's start again. Sharon.
I have seen one on Apple TV, Idris Elba drama called Hijack. Which I'm going to save till next time.
No. I had that ready for today.
Oh, okay. I'll talk about that then.
Yeah. I had a Sharon Space splot just ready. So, okay. Holly, what have you seen at home?
I have seen somewhat previously now, The Anatomy of a Fall.
Yes.
And what do we call it? The Red Right Hand. I've also, though not going to discuss them today. Where Have You Gone, Bernadette?
Okay.
And something else that was thoroughly poor. Oh gosh, yes,
Irish Wish.
Irish Wish.
Yeah.
Unmentionable.
That's...
Okay, I'll tell you what, if we go ahead, I think Irish Wish, we might give you a 2 minutes to just sort of like, Holly, go. 2 minutes,
yes.
Irish Wish.
Yeah, I will take the Irish Wish high speed summary slot.
All right, cool. How about you, Sean? What do you see at home?
I saw Red Right Hand, and I've loads of stuff on YouTube I sort of watch, but mainly I've been sort of watching football, to be honest. But I was thinking there's lots of stuff that I've seen from the past, which, like there was that one about the video nasties, and there's a couple of others, but yeah. So Red Right Hand is what we're going to do.
Yeah, because
today.
Red Right Hand.
Holly's seen it, so
yeah, you actually put Holly on to watching Red Right Hand. You actually like kind of
yeah. That's good.
All right, cool.
Cool.
So let us kick off. Let's kick off on cinema as is our want. We usually kick off with cinema, and we're going to kick off with the big one in many different ways. This is Godzilla X Kong, big in stature, and it's the biggest film being released. This film, it's the sort of like this week. It's the big sort of tentpole blockbuster wannabe film that's being released this week. And Shaun, shall I do a summary and then you jump in?
Yeah, sure. You give a summary. That's a good idea.
Okay,
I always like to have a summary. I always fire from my heart rather than...
Yes. We know. And okay, so Godzilla X Kong, there is this thing called the MonsterVerse that they have been building for a while. They've built it. Started off with the Gareth Edwards Godzilla movie that was made, and this was, I think it was 2015, and they've been building this whole thing around this group called Monarch, and they have all these titans, and they're bringing in Godzilla and all of his friends from the Japanese Toho movies. So your Mothras, your King Ghidorahs, and everything like that. And they have made a series of these films. There has been Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of Monsters, Godzilla vs. Kong, and now Godzilla X Kong, A New Empire. And they are... and in this one, what passes for a plot is that this is a world in which, Kong is established, Godzilla is established. They have this thing called the Hollow Earth, where that the Earth is not actually solid, and if you dig down deep, you go into this other world called the Hollow Earth, which is sort of like the upside down of our world, but that's where Kong is now, where there's all these sort of different sort of wonderful creatures, and it's sort of like, creature fantasy land in the Hollow Earth, which is where Kong is. And you have Godzilla on the surface Earth. Godzilla's on the surface Earth, essentially protecting the Earth from kaijus while doing his usual thing of destroying cities, and he's destroying all these kaijus that show up all around the place. Big monsters. Godzilla goes, "What? This is my world." Goes, beats them up, atomic breaths them to death, and then goes and has a lie down in the Colosseum in Rome. And now, this is actually what happens. Godzilla starts this film pretty much having a nap in the Colosseum in Rome, and everybody in the world just kind of gone, he's Godzilla, he can do what he wants, leave him alone. And so this film kicks off when there's this signal that starts kicking off, and from the last film we have a Rebecca Hall character who's a scientist who has adopted a daughter who they found on Skull Island, who was part of a tribe called the Iwi. She starts having these sort of like weird dreams, which seem to be because she's the only one who can communicate with Kong, which seems to be connected with something that's going on. And then there's this sort of like signal that's being sent off that wakes Godzilla up from his nap in the Colosseum. Godzilla starts going around the world, essentially charging himself up for what they refer to as World War III, that Godzilla is gearing up for a big battle. Kong's doing his own stuff down in the Hollow Earth, blah, 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 blah. Stuff happens, plot, essentially, then they come up with a plot that means that eventually these two monsters end up fighting each other, or end up in the same space, shall we say. And that's all you need to know for a plot, because what you came to see is to see big monsters doing big monstery things. and okay, so and Shaun, so what do you reckon? What did you think of this? Because you're the big Godzilla head on this.
I am the big Godzilla head. Yeah, I mean, this one was dumb and silly and fun, and it was what we wanted to see finally. Rather than, I mean, I really enjoyed the 2014 Godzilla.
Yeah.
And then I thought the one with King Ghidorah there was too much talking and too much melodrama, and there was too much, yappy.
Too many humans.
Too many humans. There's little humans, and it's just like it starts off. You see a couple of other people, and it's just like a bit of a slugfest, really. So it's quite good fun with buildings getting knocked down and team ups. And I did think that what's the ice monster called? I should know. I know, but I forget the little ice monster. Gygax. Oh shit, yeah, something like that.
Shimu or something like that.
Shimu, yeah. And at the end, he was a bit too nicey, but he looked too nice to be horrible. Do you know what I mean? He was too nice looking. It's like, but then I suppose the situation he was in.
Yes.
You can make allowances for it, but yeah, no, it was just really good fun. So Mothra appears, everybody, and I mean, you got to love Mothra, haven't you? So, and then there's that. I forget.
There is a bit of this where it feels they go, hang on, who have we put in yet?
Yeah,
oh yeah, Mothra, I forgot about him.
Mothra, that's right, because there's that big crabby like one that you did see in one of the other ones.
Yeah, at the beginning, the beginning.
Yeah. So they've got a lot, and for me, I mean, this is no Godzilla -1 by any stretch of the imagination.
No,
but it still is really good fun. It's what you wanted to see: monsters fighting each other. You don't really have to say much more because that's what it is. And I think they must have listened. They must have listened and said, "Well, let's keep the human aspect, a little bit towards the side." Although it was quite interesting with the Iwi tribe. I did think that was quite interesting for.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite a good concept. But again, it's like with a lot of these, it's all the circumstances are really, really fortunate, aren't they? That certain things fall,
Yes.
So if I had my my nasty horrible
if you had your critical head on, if you were trying to be critical about this,
I could. Yeah, there's so many plot holes, but no, it was fun. It was good fun. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It was a good old slugfest. How about yourself?
Well, the thing is, I have to admit with you that I think that because I remember from the first, we went to see the Godzilla, whether it was 2014, 2015, I can't remember which year, but we went to see that one together. And I remember saying that the big problem with these films is that they keep trying to shove human characters in there, and we don't care about the human characters. And this one, I have not been following this MonsterVerse at all.
No.
But this one was the best, I thought, when they got the balance, I think, roundabout right. Because the first almost 5 minutes of this film is kind of like the film I've been asking for, because it starts off with Kong in the Hollow Earth. There's no humans whatsoever. There's no dialogue whatsoever. It's just it's just these creatures going about doing their thing. And I'm like, okay, yes. Now, and I remember actually you saying about them, because I remember that there was a time we spoke about one of these films, and I said I wanted to see a film. Just cut out the humans. Just give me the animals doing their thing.
Yeah, you're right.
And the first 5 minutes was it was like they had listened, and I was like, yes, this is good. And the way they bring the human characters in, it is not, and it doesn't feel annoying. It feels better. I mean, although to be honest with you, Rebecca Hall, all she does is. Well, it's not all she does, but most of what she does is explain what's going on. Because she just standing there, just starts there going, oh no, Godzilla's annoyed because Kong has entered his territory. Thank you very much, Rebecca Hall. Now get off the screen and let the animals punch each other.
I must admit, the young girl, she was good in the other one as well. She plays a good part, I think. She
plays well.
Is she genuine?
Sorry, what was that?
Is she mute in real life? Or?
I don't know. I don't know whether she's mute or deaf in real life. But
right, okay.
I mean, I haven't looked that up. But I would imagine.
But it'd be interesting.
It would be interesting. But I think the main thing I would say about this is that this film, I was watching it going, this is a load of old gubbins.
Gubbins, yeah, it is a load of old gubbins.
And that's the thing. I think the film is 100% a load of old gubbins. I don't think it tries very much to be anything other than a load of old gubbins. There are bits in the middle where I felt like it was bogged down because they were trying to explain all this stuff and all this thing about this Titan's coming and this Titan's going, this is going and there's too much explanation and there's too much sort of like you can feel them moving things to make certain things happen and to get characters in the film, and you're like, why are you?
That's it. I'm just going to ask you one thing, Tos. What Mini Kong? What did you think?
He's
in the trailers, so
he's in the trailers. I mean, a big part of this is about Kong looking for a family because Kong is supposed to be the last of his type. And I mean, from the trailers, they make it really obvious that in this film we are going to find out that Kong is no longer the last of his type, and that in this film that there might be a reason for Kong actually getting the name King.
Yes. But I thought he was integral to the plot. Really, when he was integral, I think he but because of the situation. So I think he was. I mean, from the trailer, I thought, oh no, but I was a little bit more forgiving.
I think it is a bit more forgiving in the film. But to be honest with you, Sean, bearing in mind, I watched this film back to back with Kung Fu Panda.
Oh right, yeah.
And there's bits in it where I'm like, oh my god, that's the exact same storyline. It's like when I was like, that's the exact same story. What the heck? So even though he's not annoying as you would imagine that he would be annoying, I did feel that it was a bit tropey because I felt almost every beat of his character, there is nothing to be surprised by. There is nothing to come out about. And although I would say one thing that they usually have this whole thing about how whenever you have these monsters, they're always destroying an American city or an American landmark. And in this film, they seem to have made a very definite and a very deliberate ploy to make sure that they share the destruction around the world.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
like Godzilla sleeping in the Colosseum. There's a big bit where they destroy the pyramids in Egypt.
Pyramids, yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
There's one other place. Oh, there's a bit where they go to like one of the poles, the North or South Pole, the one that has a big sea, and and wreak havoc there as well. So yeah, but anyway, so how many stars did you give this, Shaun?
Okay, well, I'm going to give this. I mean, I enjoyed this. I really, really enjoyed it, but I don't think there was any like wow factor. I don't think it was, a bit. So I mean, I'm going to give this a 3-star. This one's a 3-star for me.
Yeah, and I'm going to give it a 3 as well. I think.
Yeah.
Sort of a low to middling 3.
Yeah.
Because and where we're talking about Godzilla -1, and I was talking. I mean, there was one of the things we spoke about, and I said about the difference between the American treatment of Godzilla and the Japanese treatment of Godzilla.
Yes.
Where in the Japanese treatment of Godzilla, he seems to mean a lot more, and they seem to be trying to say something a bit deeper than this is dumb. This is straight down the middle, dumb American Godzilla.
That's what we wanted to see, wasn't it?
I think it depends. Like, for instance, for me, not being a real sort of into the whole thing, I think I might stick to the Japanese Godzillas going forward. I think the American ones, I'll just be like, a lot of old gubbins. Cool. I might wait for them to come up on TV at some point. All right, cool. So that is 3 stars for Godzilla X Kong: A New Empire. And now we go on to TV and stuff we've been watching at home. And we are going to go with Hijack, which is Sharon. So Sharon, what I know about this is that this is Idris Elba on a plane from Dubai to London. It's in real time a la 24. So essentially, yeah, and stuff happens. But go ahead.
Yes, this is an Apple TV production. I'm trying to think whether it's 6 or 7 parts.
I think
something
it's 8.
Like that. 8 parts. That makes sense. Yes, as you said, it's a flight from Dubai to London. Idris Elba is a corporate negotiator where he goes in to sort of settle disputes in house and tries to get, when there's like hostile takeovers, that sort of thing. He's the guy they send in to sort of sort things out. And he's flying back to London to he's estranged from his wife and he's got a teenage son, and he he wants to get back to see if he can sort of make things a bit better with his relationship with his wife, even though she's moved on and she's got a new partner. And her new partner happens to be a police officer in the Metropolitan Police. Mm-hmm. And so, Idris is on the plane, and then something happens where basically the hijack gets brought forward. I know, it's not it's not a spoiler because it's in the very beginning, the very first episode. There's loads of people on the plane. One of them goes into the loo and they find a bullet. And this basically causes quite a kerfuffle on board with the security. Yeah. And then the pilot has to announce, we've got a security situation on board. And then the hijack, instead of it being timed that it would be done like 2 hours outside of London, suddenly it's perhaps the timetable is brought forward, and it's literally within an hour of taking off, they suddenly have to escalate the hijack and then take over the plane. And so this is like hour number 1, where the hijack takes place, where a group of hijackers, armed, and you see how they get the guns on board. That's explained. They take over the plane, and then over the next episodes, it's basically how this hijacking unfolds, and you see it from on the ground. You see the motivation behind it. There's a couple of twists and turns all the way through, where you think, okay, we know where this is going, and then something happens. So, okay, that adds a little element to it. So there's a few twists and turns, but it is basically Idris Elba on the plane trying to sort things out while people on the ground running around trying to do their thing. Cool. It was
so I was going to say, so what do you think?
I thought the drama could have ended in the first hour. You just don't open the cockpit. I was watching this with my brother. When there's a hijacking, you just don't let the hijackers into the cockpit. You just don't do it. You lock it. There's a reason why they have sort of security on board, so that they can't get in the cockpit and take the pilot hostage and have the whole plane at their mercy. So the drama would be over within half an hour. But in this instance, there's reasons why the pilot lets them in, and then they're able to take over the plane. And there's, for us, I mean, I watched it with my brother. We found it a little bit ludicrous. I know the premise of there's certain things that they do, the hijackers do, certain things that the people on board do that you think that just wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen that way. And so I think that put a bit of a damper on it. And then towards the end, again, we were like going, that just wouldn't happen. There's protocols for when these sort of things happen, and there's things that you always do, and they just didn't do them. So you're thinking that you don't have to be an expert in international hijacking to know. For example, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but there's certain things that towards the end where there's a bit of drama, and you're thinking, well, that just wouldn't happen. That just would not be possible with the way that they would handle the situation. So I found it ludicrous. I think it's very well done, high production values, good cast, well acted, for all that it was nonsense. But we just found it wasn't credible. For us, we were just saying that just wouldn't happen.
Must be the credibility thing must be contagious then, eh?
Yeah, I know, because you don't mind drama, and you've seen sort of hijackings in them before, but most of them are like, there's a reason why a lot of them are, they were in the 70s, early 80s, was because 9/11 hadn't happened then. So the way people conduct themselves on planes is very different. So when you do like a 1970s style hijacking, it just doesn't work, because everything is geared up to stop planes flying over capital cities, for example, and there are protocols in place that even if someone says, oh, we think there's a security issue, if someone then says, oh, it's okay, there's a misunderstanding, as you were, no one would it would still have all the time. So
because everything I've heard about this, it sounds like it's along the lines of that. What they're trying to do with this is it's the word propulsive gets used a lot. Like, and we're talking about this show, that it's just sort of like, okay, get to the next episode, don't think about it, just go to the next episode. Yeah. So, and it seems like it's more about the propulsion than it is about the logic. But obviously, we all have the things that we watch where we can't get past the logic. We can't.
I think that's what we struggle with. But my brother and I, we bought the episodes. We did say, should we just watch them all? So we did sit and we watched the whole lot. So I think you can't fault the acting, because they all did a good job. They all were competent. The drama's good. The plane looked very realistic. All the effects looked really realistic, but it was just ridiculous. So I would probably sort of have to give it like 2. I think for production values, it's really good. It was like a 4, really well done. But for me, it was probably a 2, because I just thought some of those things just wouldn't happen, and for me, it just was like, it's nonsense. So I thought it was excellent. I thought it was very well done for what it was, but the story just let it down. It was just like, no, that's just not going to happen. And when we both of us found ourselves doing Shawnee, we were like shouting at the screen at some point. We were saying, we know exactly what's happened here. We said, you know what's happened here? It's no mystery. There's no drama, because we know exactly what's happening. And then afterwards they go, ta-da! It's like, we know.
We told you that.
We spotted that from a mile. It's just obvious. Some of the things are like obvious. So I would say I'd have to give it a 2.
A 2. You have to give it a 2. All right, cool. 2 for Hijack. And I think I might just sort of title this episode "A Load of Old Gubbins."
Yeah.
Well, let's say round one is a load of old gubbins, a load of really, really well, good-looking gubbins. Because I have to say, because on that note, Shaun, I think it's a good thing that we didn't even mention the effects in Godzilla X Kong. Because I think that they were really, really well done. I think that they were really well done, because especially because there's more than one ape in this TV show. Yes, so there's a bit in this film, there's a bit where this film essentially starts looking like Planet of the Apes. It starts looking like Planet of the Apes, and I have to say, bearing in mind that one of the trailers that we watched before Godzilla X Kong was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I think that the effects in Godzilla X Kong, the ape effects, are better than the effects in Planet of the Apes, because this, like I don't for one second go, oh, Kong looks a little bit weird. I just look at him going, yeah, I get exactly what he's feeling because his eyes are emoting, and then I have to go, oh, hang on a second, no. That is actually it doesn't cross my mind that it's a computer effect, as opposed to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Look at that and I kind of go, they look a bit weird. So yeah, I just thought I'd say that. But anyway, Sharon, if you want something that is on Apple TV Plus that sticks a bit more to actual logic, I can fully recommend, especially when it comes to one of the things you said about planes and flying over major cities. I can fully recommend Slow Horses.
I know you reviewed it, the season 1, and you gave it a glowing review.
I keep looking at them. Very old,
I need to go back and watch it.
Yeah. I think because there's 3 seasons now, and I've watched all 3 of them, and I think it's only gotten better. Quite frankly, I think that the interplay within characters only gotten better by the 3rd season. So I think if you like things that make sense based on a book, Sharon is right up your alley. Everything about this is right up your alley. And now we shall jump from one recommendation to Sharon to another recommendation that I made last week to Shaun for Late Night with the Devil. And you
did, yes.
You got on a ferry. You left the island to go see this find a cinema that actually showed this film. So
I did.
Late Night with the Devil. Tell us about it.
Okay, so Late Night with the Devil. This was you said, oh, Shaun, there's a film coming out that you may like. Takes place in the 70s, and obviously, so I was like, it piqued my interest, and obviously it doesn't come to the island, so it just happened to be on in Bournemouth, which is, it's only about 10 minutes from my mum's where I stay. So I booked up, and I met someone who transferred from the Isle of Wight cinema, so that was quite good.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, on with the film because it's that good. So this film, basic story is it's a late night show host, Jack. He's a late night show host, a bit like Johnny Carson, and his ratings are not so good, so he decides he's going to do a Halloween special. And it is just like, seriously, it's just so like brought back nostalgia, like the late 70s TV shows with like split screen and like, coming up on the show tonight, we have Cleo, we have thing, and it's got the orchestra that's in the studio and like a compere that the studio that makes wisecracks and so he has these characters on. There's like a psychic guy, one that comes in and says in the audience, something's here, and they have a guy that's on to say, this is all nonsense, I can do this, I'm a, and then they have this young girl, she's inside her, she's got, she's possessed by Mr. Wriggles or whatever. But anyway, so TV show to start with, but there is, when they sort of cut to go to the breaks, you see a bit of back footage. So you've got like talking, say, Jack, you've got to go on. He goes, oh, I'm not so sure about this. I'm not so sure what's yes, let's carry on. And and then it goes back and you see the audience, and the audience all dressed up in Halloween costumes. Some of them are a little bit creepy, but so that's basically the story, and you get the backstory, and you find out that a member, like you get some of these big groups where they say that, I don't know if it's conspiracy theories, where they say they all meet up in the giant redwoods and the build all this sort of stuff. So there's a little bit of a backstory there that, like, to get his ratings higher, he needed to obviously
engage with them.
Give something back. He needed to give something back. So which happens to, and then it just sort of to a pretty, even the skeptic that's trying to do the audience. This was just so original. It really was. This was something. I don't know. This was something pretty special.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I'm so pleased I saw this. Everything. I loved this from the go, from the very, very start. I thought, yes, this is going to be right up my street. You know what I mean? And it was like, as I say, I love the split screen techniques, and it was almost nostalgic, like some of the TV. It took me right back to like Saturday night TV, and now we have the late night show with Jack, and he'd do the intro, and he'd talk to the audience and try and warm up the audience.
I love it. It's like brand new nostalgia.
Yeah. And as I say, as the show goes on, stranger and stranger, and some quite weird things happen. First of all, the psychic, they're like, he's the chap comes on, he's like, oh, it's all fake, it's all fake, it's all that, and then he becomes really ill and he has to go to hospital anyway. But it's just really, really good. And towards the end, it's like, should we say, there's a lot of liquids flying around, and and a lot of flame and a lot of brimstone and fiery stuff, and it goes into a little bit of a backstory. But yeah, no, it was just what I liked about this was the originality of it. And I mean, I know, Sharon, you're not particularly into those sort of films, but I don't think this would I don't think find this one particularly offensive. I think you could actually watch this one without feeling too affronted, if you know what I mean, because it was quite cleverly thought out. I thought it was quite cleverly done, and it wasn't real Satanism-y type thing. It was very much just a phenomena, if you like, So yeah, totally original. Really, really liked this. Really, really liked it. As I say, you expect me to give this a 5, but I'm going to give it a 4. I'm going to give it a 4 because I think, so.
No, that's good, Sean, because the thing is that with this, when I heard the premise of it, I do not like horror movies. I don't watch horror movies, but the premise of this actually made me go, "Oh, I want to watch this."
Yeah.
And so it was me recommending it to you was kind of like me living vicariously through you, because I was like, I'm not going to be anywhere where I'm going to watch this film, Sean. This is my gift to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much. Yeah.
But everything I've seen about this film, it does look like it's going to be that it should be good. It should be good, and I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
But it sounds like it's going up into your, if I may, almost say it's going to go somewhere high up in your list of horror movies. Like
movies, yeah, that's what I mean. Everything. Well, as you know, I mean, I'd sort of given up on them recently, because there is those couple that are out, Hereditary or whatever, and I haven't really bothered. Whereas before I would have bothered, but this maybe has, started to. But no, it was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Totally.
All right, cool. Good stuff. So Late Night with the Devil comes with a recommendation from Sean, and Sean knows his horror movies and walks around being thoroughly disappointed by most of them. so if you are looking for a good original horror movie, we can recommend Late Night with the Devil. And now we go on to home stuff. And talking about recommendations, this is a week for recommendations because this is something that Sean actually saw and said he saw, and so Holly went to watch it. So Holly, I'll give you the floor, and I'll give you the floor to explain what Red Right Hand is all about.
Okay, well, I'm probably going to at least partially have to hand it over to Sean to explain it, because I did my usual paying as much attention as I often do at the beginning of films. The basic premise is that Orlando Bloom is a former criminal.
He's like a member of a clique, of criminality gang, not such like
not street gang in I'm going to say the Appalachians,
Kentucky, I think,
and he has turned over a new leaf some time ago. Since then, his sister got married, had a child who is now a teenager, and has relatively recently died. And her husband, his brother-in-law, has managed to make a series of foolish decisions which have landed him in hock to some not terribly appealing characters. And Orlando Bloom realizes that the only way he can help is to grit his teeth and get back involved in the seedy underworld of the Appalachians.
Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in.
Exactly. And in doing so, in going back to work for a very, I suppose she is and interestingly, that the head of the matriarch rather than your usual sort of male boss played by Andie Macdowell. No doubt drug running, thoroughly, unappealing bunch of rednecks. And he is going in and doing all of this to try to save his niece and her father. who is coming under increasing pressure from the various unsavory types that he become involved in, and he has to make decisions as to how exactly he is going to, what he's going to do, what he's prepared to do to keep them safe.
Actually, if I can pick up on that point, I liked what he did and how he handled it. I thought it was because he was in some situations where he's like he worked his way well. He didn't, because he could have dropped himself in serious hot water. I mean, it was quite brutal. The scene I'm talking about is quite a brutal scene, but there are people there, and you're expecting, like in something else, you're expecting him to go and save. Something to happen. Oh, is he going to save? But he's like, no, because it's dumb. It's a dumbass thing to do. If he causes any trouble, there's no way he's gonna get out of it. It's going to make the situation worse. And the same when there is an incident where or I need you to go and do this trade. We want to do a trade, and something happens where he turns up and there's like, oh, where's Mick or whatever his name is, like that. He goes, oh, and he just handles the sit. For me, I really liked the way he handled the situations. I thought it was well. I mean, the end where it sort of, the end. Well, anyway, but I mean, it was still good. But yeah, I mean, it was and Orlando Bloom was pretty good in this role. I thought I was quite surprised because I wasn't expecting to be. He's got he wears like a reverse baseball cap and got a bit of a few beard and stuff, and he plays the part really well, which you wouldn't. It's not his normal type, is it, Holly?
Okay,
it's not normal.
Two things. So, Holly, when you were talking about the matriarch of a crime family and everything like that, and you said played by, I was expecting to hear Margot Martindale. I mean, I think Sharon, as a Justified fan, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Very much.
Yeah, but you said Andie Macdowell. I was like, whoa. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And Shaun was saying earlier,
she's pretty vile.
Yeah, and I still, there's part of me that still thinks 4 Weddings and a Funeral when I see her.
Always.
And she's very much not 4 Weddings and a Funeral here. She is an impeccably played, absolutely hideous human being.
Right.
Ruthless.
And the other thing is, when you said Orlando Bloom, I was not expecting Kentucky Appalachian. So I am so intrigued. What was his accent like? Because I'm not too sure that Orlando Bloom is the best at accent work.
So I didn't really notice. So
it was inoffensive because, likewise, a bad accent didn't jump out. If I had a good ear for,
come on down.
Particular elements of, Kentucky and the Appalachians, then I probably have a very different answer to that. But it didn't grate.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay.
It didn't. I didn't really pick out anything. I wasn't. Yeah. But then I guess I wasn't listening out to it, so it didn't.
I'll just check it because it's kind of like it's like when Jason Statham tries to do an accent, and it doesn't matter what accent he tries to do, he's doing it badly. You don't have to be.
Trying to sound English, he manages to do that.
Yeah, that is. It's like you don't have to be associated or au fait with a Chicago accent to know that he's slipping into English.
Yeah,
yes.
It underpins everything.
It wasn't a Jason Statham.
Okay, and another thing, we will get back to this for man.
Absolutely. My God, he can't do accents.
Yeah, yeah. I saw a trailer for a film called Fast Charlie with Pierce Brosnan, where he's trying to play a Southern American, and I'm like, oh my God, Pierce, just don't do it. Just use your voice.
Step away now.
That's it. Yeah. Sometimes that's the best way, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
I think the best Pierce Brosnan one played the Jerry Adams type character in the Jackie Chan film. So that was, but then he's Irish, so.
But he should be able
to manage an Irish accent.
Yeah, yes. Exactly.
Yes. Okay, cool. But sorry. Anyway, back to Red Right Hand. So, Shaun, you said you liked those bits. You thought it's reading between the lines. Shaun, it sounds like you were saying it makes sense.
Yes, yeah, it did. Yeah, and I liked how he handled the situations because it's like you can't go. I mean, it really annoys me in movies. Like when they've got a gun on someone saying, "Oh, someone's point at someone and said, "This, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun," and that's a pointless thing because the chances are you're going to get pointed at, is going to get killed as well. So, and he didn't get when those situations really, really well, so as not to, cause alarm or suspicion.
Okay, all right, cool. So, if there's nothing else you wanted to say about that, how many stars would you give this?
For me, I'll give this a 3-star. This is a 3-star, solid 3-star for me.
Agreed. Definitely solid 3, well put together. I wasn't expecting to like it. I was expecting to be a bit meh about it, but I actually thought it was very good.
Yeah.
Not going to change the world, but will recommend to others.
All right, cool. And that's 3 stars for Red Right Hand. And now let's crack on. Let's crack on, because I'm not sure if you guys can hear it, but I have a house full of kids and there's a lot of screaming going on in the background, and I probably have to go figure out what's going on and stop somebody ripping somebody else's hair out in a second. But we shall kick off, go back to cinema and continue with Kung Fu Panda 4, which I saw earlier this morning at 10:30 this morning. Now, Kung Fu Panda 4, I'm not sure if you guys have seen the Kung Fu Panda movies, but it is essentially it's set in a China filled with anthropomorphized animals. You have a panda called Po, which literally means panda in Chinese, voiced by Jack Black, and he has become the Dragon Warrior. That's what the whole first film was all about, the Dragon Warrior. And by the time you come to the 4th Kung Fu Panda film, it's kind of like one of these sequels where they have just sort of like streamlined everything, and they've said, this is what people like. People like the panda, and therefore we are going to give them the panda, because the first 3 films had the Furious 5. That was like Tigress, mantis, viper, monkey, and there's one I'm missing. Oh yeah, crane. And they were voiced by people like Angelina Jolie, Jackie Chan, all that kind of stuff. And you can see that this time around they just went, how about we make a cheap sequel, and we make it cheap by not having those guys back in, because let's be honest with you, I mean, all the Kung Fu Panda movies, there's lots of times I've been thinking, why did they get Angelina Jolie to do that? Because that character has nothing to do. So they've essentially gotten rid of all the characters that have nothing to do, and they're sort of like off the screen somewhere. They're like, yeah, so the Furious 5, where are the Furious 5? The Furious 5 are on a mission. Ta-da! And now we just have the panda doing stuff. And for what happens, going back to a whole load of old gubbins thing, what happens in this is like the storyline is Poe's time as the Dragon Warrior is coming to an end. He has to sort of pick a successor as the Dragon Warrior to train up, and this is where the similarities with Baby Kong in Kong versus Kong x Godzilla or Godzilla x Kong come in, because then so there's this fox that shows up voiced by Aquafina doing an Aquafina thing. So it feels. It sounds mean to say it, but I feel like this is a very lazily made film, where they've come in and they've gone like, okay, Jack Black, you've played Poe 3 times, just come in and do your Poe thing. Aquafina, we've seen you do, and she's done quite a lot of voice roles in the last 2 years or something like that. Off the top of my head, I can think of maybe about 4 or 5 that she's done, where she's played almost invariably always playing an animal of some sort. And this is just kind of like Aquafina, come in and do your I'm voicing an animal thing. Okay, cool, that's it. And then you have Viola Davis playing the Kung Fu Panda. From the first film, the bad guys are not really up to much. They're like, we have this convoluted reasons plan to take over China, and that's this one. Viola Davis plays a chameleon who can sort of is a sorcerer, so she can change into different sort of characters and everything like that. And she has this whole convoluted plan to get into the spirit realm, to take all the kung fu things of all the different masters that she can take over China. Blah, 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 blah. If you've seen a previous Kung Fu Panda film, I think if you've seen either Kung Fu Panda 2 or 3, it's that film all over again. I feel like there's this thing where they say about the Shrek movies, that in the Shrek movies, they've made 4 of them, and they said that each time they make the same film again. Shrek learns the same lessons all over again. He learns to not close himself off and learns to be a better person, and learns that maybe he's better with other people around him by on his own. And that's pretty much the storyline of every single Shrek movie. And this one is kind of like, a bad guy that Poe has to learn a little lesson about himself. And I feel like they've done that again with Kung Fu Panda. They've made the same film all over again. Having said that, one of the things I think that they really have done, especially from the second Kung Fu Panda movie, is the animation of the Kung Fu is excellent. So when they're actually fighting, when they're doing like, you can see that they have thought about the moves that they do and everything. And I'm thinking, this is animated. That's actually like a proper fight sequence with proper fight moves and everything like that. It's excellent. There are some bits that are beautiful. And even though this isn't the real China, obviously it's an animated China, there's shots of this that make you go, I want to go there. I want to go to China. I want to go see that area. I want to go see that mountainside thing with the fields below it and everything like that. So the animation is really good. Jack Black is fun. Awkwafina is doing an Awkwafina thing of voicing an animal. Her character especially, every single plot point that she has, every single plot beat that she has, you see coming from a mile off. Let me put it this way: you get absolutely no prize for guessing who's going to be chosen to be the new Dragon Warrior by the end of the film. So it's I would give it a 3 out of 5. I think it's okay. I think it's treading water. I think it's kind of like, they know how to make this film. They made this film the last time, so they decided to make this film again with a couple of extra wrinkles. But is it inventive? No. It's just a sequel. It's just a Kung Fu Panda film, and I don't think it's anything particularly good. It's 3 and it's released in this week because obviously the kids are on Easter holiday. So I was in there with a whole bunch of kids, and they were laughing at all the sort of like really, really puerile jokes and everything like that, which I guess means that it is doing its job. It's there for kids. It's there for parents who have kids. I am a parent who went to watch it without my kid because I wanted to actually enjoy the film. But it's so I would give Kung Fu Panda 4 a 3 out of 5. Right down the middle. Nothing more to say about that. And now we go to the final thing we're going to talk about today, and this is back on our things, and this is Anatomy of the Fall. This is back on things.
Irish Wish. I was going, yes, I'm looking forward to this, but we'll go with Anatomy of the Fall.
Irish Wish.
I was like, come on. No,
okay, I'll tell you what.
Irish Wish.
I'll tell you what. Okay, I'll tell you what. Holly, if we are good, and if we are what's the word I'm looking for? Disciplined with this. After this, you have 2 minutes to go into an Irish Wish. So, Anatomy of a Fall. Holly, take it away.
Anatomy of a Fall is a film starring Sandra Hüller as an author, married to another author, a German author, a French author rather, she herself being a German author, and they met. He is French, she is German. They met in England, married, have a son, and moved back to his hometown, which I believe is Annecy, in France.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a marriage full of tensions and all sorts. And their son, who is in his early teens.
Yeah, I'll say around about 12.
About 12, who is partially blind as a result of an accident many years before. And he has a lovely dog who is a partial guide dog. I'm not sure if he's formally a guide dog, but it operates as a guide dog. And they are living in this lovely sort of cabin that the husband is renovating, whilst she continues to write and the son carries on being a child. And one day the son, as does she, I am trying to remember. And
sorry Holly, I missed the last thing you just said.
I would say that, so the son went out for a walk.
Yes.
And she is I believe also
No. So the film starts off and she's being interviewed by a student. So she's been interviewed by a student, and the student's recording this interview with her. And she is she's drinking some wine, she's chatting to the student, and then her husband starts playing really, really loud music up, which means that they can't record an interview. So she tells the student, okay, we'll have to do this back in Grenoble. We'll have to arrange another time where we'll meet up and we'll record this interview at another time. And so when the student leaves the house, the son leaves the house with his dog. It's called Snoop. Something that tickled me, that he has a dog called Snoop. And so the son leaves the house and goes for a walk in the woods, because they live in sort of like a secluded sort of winter wonderland. And so he goes for a walk in the woods with the dog, and she stays in the house with the husband. So the son goes off for a walk with the dog, and then when they comes back, he finds his dad on the floor outside the thing, pretty well, dead essentially, blood streaming from his head. He's just there on the snow, and he's dead. And so he comes up with the dawn. He calls his mum. His mum's inside the house, and his mum sort of runs out. They call the police, and then the film kicks off.
And the sort of key prize of the entire film is the key question is, did she kill her husband?
Yes.
And it is predominantly a courtroom drama.
Yes.
In a mixture of English, French, and German, where the key witness, who is the key witness, son,
is the son, yeah.
And it unfolding around this is the backstory of how the son, partially lost his vision.
What that did to the marriage, what that did to the family, why that might have brought up motivations for one person wanting to kill the other person, that kind of thing.
And it's anatomy is a very appropriate word because it drills right into the nuances of every individual.
Yeah. Now, and that's about it. Okay, so Holly, I don't know. So obviously this film was up for Oscars. Everybody was yelling about this film, saying, "Oh, best picture," all that kind of stuff. I'm going to come out straight from the front and say I didn't see what most of the yelling was about, because I feel like after the bit where they find the body, I feel like this film becomes an episode of Law and Order, and I feel like it has as much. That's a mean thing to say, but I feel like it has as much drama about episode of Law and Order. There is one key scene and one piece of evidence, which is a conversation that was recorded between the husband and the wife the day before he died. That is kind of like the standout scene in the film that sort of starts delving into what a marriage is like and what happens in there and everything like that. But apart from that, I mean, I kind of finished watching the film and I was like, what was the fuss? I've got to be totally honest with you. I watched it and I thought, what was the fuss? Holly, please put me out of my sort of heathen ways.
I thought it was really beautifully put together. I very much liked the way it worked between. So whilst you're right in that, I don't dispute your view about it being a sort of, Law and Order-esque courtroom drama, but it has the interesting challenges of the interplay with the languages.
Yes.
Which are complicated, where the trial is in French. She is not a French speaker. Her French isn't great. They don't speak German. Various things can be done in English. There are the additional challenges with the fact that her son lives with her, but he is, of course, a witness.
Yeah.
And how that is handled with a sort of guardian. So the different use of the languages and the challenges, the frustrations of trying to communicate, and this breakdown of communication because everybody doesn't speak the same language. I think actually you get some interest in there with the languages and the relationship between the couple, who's given what up, and that the lack of, I think that the use of the language. So I found it just a fascinating film to watch, and Sandra Hüller is a very, very talented actor. I think there's ways about there. I found it quite disconcerting to discover that she's only a year older than me, and I kind of thought that she was much older than that. But that's clearly because I secretly think I'm still 25, which is clearly not the case. I really liked it. I thought it was a beautiful film. And I can completely understand why it was up for Best Picture, but I think a portion of that was because of the use of the language. And I think that's what made it more Oscar worthy, shall we say. I think her for Best Actress rather she was ever so good. But what made it interesting as a film was the use of not only the story but the balance of the I thought the balance of the linguistics is what made it jump out.
All right. So I will give you that when the film started, because obviously everything I heard about this was a French film. And I was shocked when it first started. I actually thought I'd put the wrong audio settings on the thing, because I was like, everything's in English. I was like, what the? And it wasn't until they showed somebody speaking, I was like, okay, no, their mouth looks like they actually are speaking English, and I'm hearing English. And I was shocked that there was a lot more of this film was in English than I thought was going to be. And because I just thought French film, expected a French film. And it turns out that a lot of it is in English. So I know that there's
German.
What?
And German.
Not that much is in German. There's hardly any German. There's a tiny bit, but it's mostly English and French. So I understand everything what you're saying, but I think at the end it just okay. So for instance, the everything is spoken about is about her performance, right? About Sandra Hüller's performance, and it's good, but I was expecting a lot more. Like, essentially, at the end of it, I didn't leave with any ambiguity in my mind as to whether she'd done it or not. For me, it felt like it was played definitely in one way, and there wasn't any ambiguity as to whether she had done it or not. In my head, I'm not going to say what my thing is, but I have a very definite answer to whether she did it or not. And the way the film ends, I think you're supposed to leave with some ambiguity, but I didn't have any. So I just feel like a lot of the things that people have praised it for, I didn't see. But hey, that's why it takes all sorts to build a world. I don't think that my opinion is the one that everybody should listen to, but it is mine. So all that being said, I would give it a 3 out of 5, and Holly is gonna give it way more.
I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
All right, cool. So 3 out of 5 for that gives it a 3.5 out of 5 for that. So okay, let's finish up things properly, and let's say, who do we think has won this week? Cinema or Netflix and Friends?
Well, that last 4 could sway it by cinema by 0.5.
Okay, all right.
Cinema as well.
I think cinema, yeah, because my 2 for Hijack probably
I've forgotten about that. Yeah.
torpedoed the home streaming chances this week.
That sounds
so I'd go with cinema.
Yes, you will all be right. It is cinema, and Shaun, you are doubly right, because the average is 3.3333 for cinema and 2.8333 for Netflix or Friends, which gives you a difference of 0.5.
Wow. Wow, that was purely... Yeah.
All right, cool. So, all right, I think if we're okay, Holly, you have 2 minutes. Okay. Irish Wish, go.
Lindsay Lohan is an aspiring author who has become by accident an editor and finds herself editing a book for an Irish author. It turns out, though, in reality, she's probably really written the book rather than him having written the book. She has managed to fall in love with him for reasons. But then he doesn't tell her that he's in love with her. He suddenly meets her best friend and falls in love with her. And then they're off to Ireland for his wedding, because he is, I say, Irish, and lives in his family live in a very, very fancy house. And this is all lovely, except not so lovely for her, because she's very sad. Her mother is played by Jane Seymour. I don't really know what the point of Jane Seymour is in it, but there you go. She's present, and apparently is quite present.
Paycheck!
Lindsay Lohan gets on the plane, arrives in Ireland in a really weird airport that nobody has ever heard of, and her luggage is not there. Drama. Tries to wait around to try to find her luggage. They can't find her luggage, but she ends up getting a bus for reasons. And on the bus meets attractive photographer who she disagrees with because he doesn't like the book, because he doesn't like the author, because he thinks the author's not very good, which would appear probably to be a fair call. They part ways on the bus, and she lands in this wonderful fancy home of Irish author who's Paul something probably, and it's all
Paul
very
Kennedy.
It's Paul Kennedy, thank you. See, name irrelevant. And the next day, off they go for a sort of trip somewhere, and everyone goes off on boats, and she decides to go and sit somewhere, and Lo shows up looking quite sort of, quaint and in a scarf over her hair, shows up St. Bridget, and Johan has managed to wish she was marrying Paul Kennedy, and then suddenly she is marrying Paul Kennedy. And the excitement, the drama. Clearly she doesn't realise what's going on. She's very taken aback. Oh my God, what are you doing naked in my bathroom? And then she realises they're getting married, and isn't it all something? And then the photographer has suddenly become their wedding photographer because St. Bridget makes the thing he was meant to be photographing, which was the sheep shearing competition, be cancelled. And suddenly he's their wedding photographer, except they go off and they end up stranded somewhere, and there's Irish dancing, and she can't dance, but now she can do Irish dancing, and she discovers she likes Guinness, which she's then drinking at the wedding pre-wedding party whilst everyone else is drinking champagne, and that made no sense, but there you go. And then she realizes that she doesn't in fact wish to be marrying Paul Kennedy, and her friend is clearly absolutely in love with him and they're a much better fit. She wishes to undo wish, and then she lovely photographer again, and they are clearly madly in love with each other, and it's all wonderful. And it's a completely pointless film, and and the acting is bad and the script is bad, but the colours are beautiful. It's very pretty. It's very green. Some of the honestly, even having been to Ireland, I'm not sure it's the actual real green. Some of it's definitely foolish looking, but it's very pretty. Lots of lovely greenness. But the Guinness suddenly starts to. The Guinness is basically a character in its own right by the end of the film. I cared more about the Guinness than I did about the people. I was. Paul Kennedy is clearly a very bad author, and I feel very sorry for the woman who does end up marrying him, even though it turns out they both like cycling, which is nice. And Lindsay Lohan is very bad at that.
Cycling, which is nice.
So Lindsay Lohan, good author. Lohan actually wrote Kennedy's books for him. Paul Kennedy, bit of a con artist. You figure out by the end, and you go, the end. But it's slightly better than Monsternado. A little bit. Not
on scale of
only because
just above Monsternado is
the production value. The production values of this better than Monsternado, and the acting is slightly better, and the script is subtly more coherent. The story, only slightly. I mean, if they'd thrown in the odd megalodon and some pterodactyls, I think it would have actually lifted the story.
Can't be.
Yeah,
I mean, on the film pterodactyl showing up in a film, I can't see a bad thing. And yeah, that's what's Irish Wish is missing out on pterodactyls.
Well, essentially, if you go online, it has become like it's
Harry Maguire trope, yeah.
Yeah. To be honest with you, if you go online, it's become like a game to see who can kick this film the hardest. It's like to see because yeah, it is just. I think I read somebody like that who actually read about this and said it's like, I'm not Irish, but I think this film might be racist against Irish people. Wow. It's like I'm not Irish, I've never been there, I feel offended on the part of the Irish.
The Irish have every right to be offended. It does not do the Irish any favours at all, unless you care about the scenery, in which case, even then, because of the weird sort of super injection of some of the shades of green, it doesn't do them favours there either.
I don't actually think it was filmed in Ireland.
I think that's quite plausible.
But okay.
Yeah,
but anyway.
it had a certain feel of the original Mary Poppins in the shades of some of the green.
Oh, okay.
It's I mean, at least nobody said begorra begorra.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody say top of the morning? Top of the morning.
It is not a good film, but it is better than Monsternado. But as we have established, Monsternado is one of the worst films ever made.
And this is Holly saying this, who loves everybody who tries to make a film so much.
Exactly. I've always got kind things to say about everything if I try really hard. And I'm afraid all I can say in favour of Irish Wish is there's a lot of green and some of the flowers look pretty.
And it did end.
And it did end. The fact that I didn't have to watch any more was a joy. And I did this.
I think. I'll tell you what. Right. I'll tell you what we'll do, Holly. I think we might just tweet out a screen grab of what you were sending to us as you were watching Irish Wish. We might just put a screen grab. Say this is Holly's hell. But all right.
Why are you doing this to me? Why did I agree to this? This is how much I love you all.
All right, cool. All right, until next week, where we shall see something. We'll definitely talk about Monkey Man next week, and some of the other things that we've put on the back burner for a while. But until that time, it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
Bye for me.
Goodbye from me.
Yes, I'm going to go see what those kids were yelling about and see how much trouble I'm in for ignoring.
I was going to say, but yeah, you're going to be in trouble now.